So what is the E.F.G method and how are independent artists using it so that they can revolutionize their music business? Hey everybody, it's Daxton Page. Welcome back to Musicians Ignite. Now today we're going to be breaking down the E.F.G method. What does that stand for? Well, that stands for Evergreen Fan Generator, and I'm going to break down the entire process right here in this video. I've got the whiteboard prepared, so let's head over there and check it out. All right, behind me I've got the Evergreen Fan Generator method completely listed out, and we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know step by step. All I ask in return is maybe you hit the subscribe button, and if you want some one-on-one help implementing this, go to musiciansignite.com and book a one-on-one call. We'll start figuring out your situation and see how we can actually help you reach your music business goals. All right, let's jump into the E.F.G method step by step. Number one, you're going to need some tech, okay? This is a prerequisite. You got to have this stuff for the technical foundations of what the E.F.G is, okay? First thing you're going to need is an ESP. Not extrasensory perception, an email service provider, okay? So something like MailChimp, Drip, ActiveCampaign, Aweber, ConvertKit, they're all great choices. I personally recommend MailChimp because that's what I'm used to and I like the user interface, but I've seen artists use other ones and they're great as well. So figure out which one works best for you and get signed up. I do have a little caveat though, which is you need to have the subscription level for this where you can do automated campaigns. That's very important because we want to automate this process, and that is how we're going to achieve it. We're going to have to use the customer journey feature if you're on MailChimp. I don't know what it's called on other softwares, but that's fundamentally what you want to make sure that you pay for, right? It's worth it in general to have for your music business. Like, even if you weren't doing the E.F.G method, that would be a good investment. But for this, we definitely will need it. So that's the first thing that you're going to need. If you already have that, awesome. Here's the next thing that you need. A website or funnel software. I use those interchangeably because sometimes you can achieve the same effects, you know, whether you're using Squarespace or you're using ClickFunnels or Elite 360 or whatever you happen to be using, okay? I just recommend that you get one. It doesn't matter which one. And from that position, we can now create websites that are highly optimized for people to click, and when they click, it takes them to places that will actually help our music business. A lot of people's websites are glorified brochures, and that is the worst design that you could do for a website, in my opinion, is to just have this brochure. You should have it to where every click serves a purpose. It's either, like for me, whether you go to my personal website, Musicians Ignite's website, or my band's website, you will see that every click is optimized to get you to join the email list, give you a free book, give you my published book with a bunch of cool bonuses, one-on-one coaching, one of our courses, any kind of thing that's going to help create more customers for my business, right? So you as an artist, you need to be thinking about, like, how can I get it to where every click my fans have, it's going to take them somewhere where they're going to join the email list, they're going to buy a ticket, they're going to stream my newest release, check out my newest music video, everything that you need them to do in order to grow and have a successful music business. That's what your website should be. Your website? That's what your website should be, okay? I particularly use ClickFunnels for this, but you can use Squarespace, WordPress, Elite 360, whatever you want to use, okay? So we've got two things. We've got the email service provider and we've got the website or funnel software. Next, you need a merchant account. Now, some of you probably already have this. If you have a Shopify, you can use Shopify for this, or you can use like Stripe. I personally like using Stripe. I think it's easier to create just offers really quickly, create a link that they can go check out, and boom, you can go start selling immediately. And it's free, where Shopify does have a cost associated to it. But there's benefits you get with that cost if you have merchandise on hand. That's kind of a different thing that we're going to be talking about a little bit later, but fundamentally you need a way to take the money. That's what it's at right now. So we have a way to send the emails, a way for them to check out the offer on the page, and then a way for them to buy. Right? That's the three things so far that we need. It's very, very basic, so don't overthink it too much. Stripe is free. It does come with a fee. It's like 2% or something like that, 2.8% with a 30-cent fee every time. Yeah. And that's not too bad, honestly. Like if you have someone that's paying $17 a month for something, you're going to get roughly $15.50 a month. That's not too crazy of a fee, and you can do a lot of different things with it. You can integrate it into your MailChimp and other places as well. So you got the merchant account. Now this last one is optional. If you have a fan club, you want to have a membership software. So that membership software could be Patreon, it could be Kajabi, ClickFunnels. It could be any one of these things. But if you have a fan club, I definitely recommend having one of these types of softwares, because one of the offers that we're going to talk about a little bit later on is a way that you can get people into your fan club. So if you've got a fan club, you're going to need to utilize that, okay? And that's something I recommend most bands have in general, because you're always going to have diehard fans that want to support you, and that's a great place for them to do it. Okay, now we've got the tech side taken care of. So all the technology you need to actually implement the E.F.G method is right there, okay? Number two, you're going to have some assets as an artist, okay? Now, what are the assets that you need? Number one, if you've got any merchandise. Now, I didn't write it up there, but this could be merchandise that you physically have on hand. Maybe it's sitting in your garage or in your closet somewhere. Or you can have merchandise that is available through print by demand or strictly online. Either way, those are assets that are going to be available to you whenever you're trying to create an offer, because that's what this whole section is going to be helping us accomplish. If you don't have anything to offer, it's hard to create an offer. So this is where we get the things that we can actually put together and create things of value that our fans actually want. So number one, merchandise. Number two, if you have any video of live performances, let's say you've played out at a gig recently and you caught some footage of it, that is valuable. Whether this is pro shot with an iPhone on a tripod in the corner of the stage, it's at the sound booth, pointed at the stage, it really doesn't matter. Any kind of video performance that is somewhat professional, and remember by somewhat I mean basically iPhone quality or higher, you're good. This is something that you can use in an offer that is an asset. Okay. Number three, unreleased music. This is also very valuable. Sometimes this unreleased music could be a B-side from a previous release that just never quite made it, or it could be something new that you have in the works. Maybe it's a demo of your biggest track. Any kind of MP3 file that we can put together that has value for the fans, right? Maybe it's a audio recording of an unreleased concert that you guys only got the audio from or something, that can be valuable as well. So you can kind of see a little bit here, we have physical on-hand merchandise, things that are physical, they can touch, video content, audio content, and then behind the scenes footage, which could be behind the stage, absolutely. But fundamentally, that's actually, instead of saying behind the scenes, because that's like a movie term, behind the stage, that's a musician term. We're going to change that forever right now. So behind the stage footage. So when you're not doing the music thing on stage, what are you doing? I've utilized information like band diaries and tour vlogs in my own fan club to help generate more sales. So one of those things is band diaries. That's what we do when we're not touring, we're not playing gigs regularly, we're just kind of rehearsing at the house, we're in out somewhere drinking and having a good time, or having dinner somewhere because it's someone's birthday, those kind of things. Those are little diaries of what we're doing in our spare time. And then we have tour vlogs, when anytime we go play a show, whether it's local or we actually go on tour and we're playing a bunch of shows, we'll create footage there and put it in the tour vlogs. So that's one way to utilize behind the stage footage, and live performances as well. Notice we kind of got both working there at the same time. So these are just some different assets. Some artists, depending on the situation, they may want to provide a service as an asset. So that could be like offering guitar lessons, that could be offering lessons of any instrument, whether that's singing, piano, whatever. But it could also be utilizing, like, I can come to your place, your venue, your wedding, your house, and we'll do a performance for you. That could be another type of service that is an asset. So I didn't list it here, but I'm going to put it down here now, which is services. Services. Those are assets in your music business as well, okay? So now that we've got all these different things, we've got all the merchandise, physical items, and the video content, the audio content, behind the scenes content, services that we may want to offer. What do we do now? We come down here to offers, number 3. So this is, to me, one of the most crucial things that we can develop as an artist, are different offers that our fans are going to find insanely valuable, enough that they're willing to support us financially and receive the offer, okay? What's the first type of offer you can have? That says lead gen. That's a business term that means generating people who are going to be potential customers. That's what a lead is. Now, I know people don't like that language in the music business. They're like, you're depersonalizing the fans when you call them leads or customers. I don't think so, because I still view them as fans. I still view them as human beings and people with drives and all that kind of stuff. But I understand from an economic perspective that fundamentally when someone joins my email list, they are a lead from a business perspective of someone who's going to potentially stream the music. They're going to potentially buy an offer. They're potentially going to buy a ticket. So don't get too wrapped up in the weeds about the language. We can use it knowing that we're still treating our fans as human beings and with dignity and not just reducing them to numbers. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, lead gen offers. This is how we get people right here, okay? So a lead gen offer is utilizing social media, right? These are all the different social platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, Snapchat, or gigs. I put that over here as well. We use that to get them into a little automated integration software, whether that's with MailChimp and our funnels or whatever, that sends them the first offer, or gives them the first offer in most cases, because it's like you kind of pitch the offer here, and when they say, yeah, I'd want that, they go into this that starts giving them emails, okay? So the lead gen offer is designed to get people into the list. That's its goal. We want to give them something for free. We don't want to have anybody pay to be in our email list. I think that's in bad taste, personally, to say like, yeah, you pay $7. What do you get for $7? You join our email list. It's like, so what most bands allow me to join for free, you're charging me to? That doesn't make any sense. So what I do is create free offers that I give away, whether that's MP3 files of our newest single, live performances and different things. It depends on who you're marketing to. That's another thing we should kind of discuss a little bit in another time with social strategy, which is you can create content that is for people who are already fans of yours. So that's when you can start utilizing like behind the stage footage, unreleased music. That's something they will perceive as valuable because they're already fans. However, if they're not already fans, that doesn't really serve them any value because they don't know or care enough about you yet. So we can use a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Marketing in the sense of like flashier things that are, hey, I know you've never heard of us before, but check this out. That's the marketing that you're trying to get for new fans. Whereas the marketing for fans that have been around forever, existing fans, well, now that's like, okay, we can use stuff that is like rare and behind the scenes because people actually care about you now. So hopefully we see the difference here. But depending on which one you're creating, the whole goal is to drive those fans into the email list. Now, once they join the email list, they're going to start getting some emails. That's what these squares are going to be. Now, there could be 3, there could be 4, there could be 5. I'm just putting 3 there for the sake of fitting this in the diagram. But that's what happens initially, is as time goes on, they start getting sent these emails saying, hey, here's that thing you got. Welcome to the email list. We really appreciate you being here. Hey, did you download the thing? I noticed some of you guys didn't open the email from the last email. And then the last one could be like, hey guys, just really wanted to remind you, I know some people opened the email, but they didn't download it. So make sure you download the thing. We want to make sure that you got the thing that you came here for. And from that point, we're going to start moving them into the next offer. So I'll use this orange marker. We're going to go from this free level that we just gave them. Let's say the opening lead gen offer was like, here's a new MP3 download of this super awesome song here's it for free. We just really want people to know about it. And it's like really cool imagery and good marketing about your newest single. And so they're like, yeah, I want to check that. Okay, I'll check it out. They join. They get the emails sent to them. Now what happens? Now we have a few different options. We have, I'm going to list them out here. We have release-related offers, continuity offers, and bundle offers. So release-related offers is pretty self-explanatory. If you have any merchandise or any of this information that is specifically related to a release, you know, a newest single that you got, an album, an EP, you can now use that as an offer. Hey, our newest single came out. Here's a t-shirt and a CD of our newest release. Very easy release-related offer, okay? The other kind of offer, continuity. This is where fan clubs come in, because continuity just means on a continuous basis, people are sending you money. That's a membership subscription service. So that's continuity. And then bundle. You can mix and match all of these. So you can have some free things included, some release-related, and maybe a free trial of the continuity offer. This is actually a strategy called forced continuity, where you buy an offer initially, and then you get a free trial for a continuity product for probably a month or 2 months, and then after 2 months or a month, then they start getting billed every month for the continuity offer. As long as you disclose that, I find nothing wrong with a forced continuity, but I do find something unethical if you sort of skirt over that and you don't disclose that, like, hey, in 30 days you're going to be charged $9 a month for our fan club, or, you know, or something like that. You should always disclaim these things and make it part of the offer. Sell the fan club. If they're going to have a forced continuity offer, tell them why the fan club is valuable. Okay, and then a bundle is just a combination of any of those things, like I said. So those are our offers. There's many different types of offers. There's sort of a meta way that we could look at offers. Those are general offers that apply to this process, but there's other types of offers like free plus shipping offers. You know, there's high ticket offers. There's all these different kinds of offers, but these are the ways that we can perceive it the easiest, I think. It's like, okay, do I have something that's free that I can give people to get them in the list? Okay, that's easy enough to think about. Do I have something related to something I've been putting out that I could sell that would be of value, whether that's print by demand or you physically have the merch? And then having a fan club offer or a bundle. Those are pretty straightforward, where other times it may be a release-related offer, but you could do a free plus shipping offer, you could do a webinar, you could do it, all these different ways of selling it, right? That's something that we actually talk about in my Evergreen Fan Generator course. If you're interested in that, just hit me up and I can send you a link to it. But now what we've done is we've moved them into a release-related offer, but that doesn't have to be where it ends, okay? Now, before I move on, I'm going to draw out this process, and then we're going to dive in a little bit more to it. Right? And so you're trying to drive people through this. And I know some people recognize this as a value ladder. Some people may not know what that is, but a value ladder, as it's traditionally perceived, is you start with something of one value. Let's say it's like 0, and then it goes to like 5, and then it goes to 20, and then it goes to 50, and on and on and on and on. That is not necessarily what we're doing here. Every offer does not have to increase in value. You can have like this be a free offer, this be a $20 offer, and then this is like a $7 offer, and then this is a $60 offer. You know, you can bounce it around, but the point is you're driving them through the different releases, or the different, not just releases, but the different offers that you have, okay? So with each offer that we make, we're gonna have emails that we have to send them to, one, sell it, but then once they buy it, actually get them to consume the content. We call those consumption sequences. You may have gotten those if you've ever downloaded something for free and then looked back and there's like 3 emails reminding you, hey, you didn't download the thing yet. Download the thing. You put in your email, get the thing. So that's what a consumption sequence is. Now these sequences are more designed, since this is for free, these sequences are designed to sell things, okay? Now you don't always have to go from offer to offer to offer to offer to offer. You can give them some space in between, like you could do a week in between these offers. And in between then, you could utilize just stories. Now, that's the next part of the Evergreen Fan Generator that we need to dive into, which are the stories. This is part 4. You've got the tech. You've got the stuff needed to create an offer. You've got different types of offers now that you can sell, and you know where you're going to put them in this chain. Now, how do we actually sell them? Do we just say, here's my offer? No, that's not very persuasive. We want to actually make people excited to purchase these offers. So how are we going to do that? Using stories. So that's why I think number 4 is probably one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, is you need stories. You need your origin story. I would use that back in the beginning when someone very first joins your list, because whether they're a fan that's been around for a long time, they won't mind getting an email breaking down your backstory. In fact, they may read it again, and then new fans actually get to learn who you are. Now, the goal of the origin story is to get your new and existing fans on your side, okay? Now, what do I mean on your side? You have a mission to spread your music across the world, impact as many people as possible, and create a career from your art, okay? That's your mission. Your fans are the only people that are going to help you achieve that mission. So what you need to do is get them on your side of that mission. So when people are looking at your origin story, the desired feeling you want them to have at the end of the story sequence is, I am rooting for these people. That's what you want to aim for. If that is the perception that you can give your fans, is that they are rooting for you as opposed to just casual fans, you're going to get more diehard fans. If you have people that just like your songs and casually listen, that's great. There's lots of people that listen to music that way, and we're not, discounting those people. But those people are harder to build a music business from. We need millions of those people before we can even have a modicum of a career, when we only need 1,000 of the people I'm describing to have a full 6-figure a year career as a musician. The 1,000 fan theory, I'm sure some of you have heard that. If you can get 1,000 of your core fans who are willing to at least spend $100 a year through these offers, well, now you can start to actually scale your music business. Now, if, let's say you're interested in labels, I'm not particularly interested in that, and I don't teach that, but let's say you are, I'm not judging. You are more likely to be successful in that mission, because they will look at your business and say, dude, you're making money. Heck yeah, we want to invest in you. You're clearly a smart entrepreneurial musician, as opposed to someone just going, yeah, my music is really good. So is a bunch of people that send us stuff. How do we know that if we sign you that that's going to be a return on our investment? If you can go to a label and say well, because I do this and I'm making money on the regular, and whether you say yes or no, I'll just keep making money and I'll find somebody else who will work with me because they see that I'm making money. Now you have leverage as an artist. So I'm saying even in that situation, this is still the way to go, because you can actually build a music business from this. So the origin story is designed to get people to look at you and your journey and your mission as an artist and root for you in such a way that they're willing to support you. Okay, the next type of story that you want to have a catalog of, I'd put some notes in your phone and just create a list. I have one where it's just I've given titles to them so they're easier to remember. So for instance, I have a story that I've memorized as John Mayer's Miserable Millionaire Friend, little alliteration there. And based on saying that title, I already know the whole story. It's in my head right now. I won't tell it, but you want to have a catalog of different stories that just by knowing the title of the story, you know fundamentally what to say. Now, what is a useful metaphor? A useful metaphor is an impactful story that you can use as a metaphor for wanting your fans to take action. Okay, one of the most creative useful metaphors I've ever heard was Myron Golden, who was selling on stage to a bunch of people who were nervous about buying a high-ticket product. And he said, did you know that everything in nature has to go down first before it goes up? The tree has to put its roots down before it can, sprout up. And then he talked about an eagle. And then I'm not going to butcher the whole story, but he said human beings are the only people that cannot live to 100% of their potential. A mama eagle will take a baby eagle and fly up into the sky and then let go of their baby, and the baby's like, oh my God, mama, what the heck are you doing? Oh my God. And then the mama comes and swoops it up, and it's like, oh my God, mama's crazy, and takes him back up. He's like, oh my God, you did it again, why would you do this? And what happens after a while is the eagle starts flapping its arms and starts learning that it can fly. And so what percentage of eagles that aren't injured learn how to fly? 100% of them, right? Human beings are the only creatures where we can choose to not live to 100% of our potential. But everything in nature has to go down first before it goes up. So guess what? Whenever I wanted to invest in something that would give me a skill that I could earn money from, guess what had to go down first? My bank account had to go down first. I had to pay for the program to get the skills that allowed me to make more than the cost of the investment and beyond. I've actually had that happen in my own life, where I invested in a real estate investment program, which some people are like, oh my gosh, you're a musician. What are you doing in that? Well, I was trying to become financially educated, so I'm like, this is one of the areas everyone talks about. I better learn about it. So I paid like $5,000 for mentorship. I know, it's like so much money, right? Well, from that $5,000 in membership, I paid the $5,000. Then from the knowledge of that, I flipped 2 deals. I was only like 23. And I flipped these 2 deals and made 20. So, was the $5,000 worth it? Well, yeah. It gave me a skill that allowed me to turn around and make 3-4 times what I paid to learn the skill. So that's what a useful metaphor that Myron used to sell people on his program, which was something's got to go down before it can go up, including our bank account if we're ever trying to learn a high income skill. That was a metaphor. You used the eagle and nature and the tree metaphors to communicate why it's desirable that your fan takes the action that they want to take. So that is a useful metaphor. You can also use the moral of a story to be the metaphor for, let's say, something that is related to your release, right? So one's like a more sales persuasion type of way of using it. The other is just more of a storytelling type of way of using it, where you can use a useful metaphor to help tie in why the story you just told is relevant to the release or the single, the EP that you just put out, okay? So those are some stories that I would definitely start cataloging. Next, your Seinfeld stories. Now, if some of y'all have seen Seinfeld, some of you have not. There's an episode in there where George, one of the other characters, says, you know what, you should write a new television show and pitch it to HBO. And he's thinking about, what am I going to write about? What am I going to write about? Am I going to do a sitcom? Am I going to do this? And George is like, I've got it. You're going to write a sitcom about nothing. He goes, what do you mean nothing? He goes, what did you do today, Jerry? He's like, I went and got some coffee and I came here. And he goes, that's an episode. And what's funny about that is George is actually talking about what Seinfeld is. That's what Seinfeld is. Seinfeld is fundamentally a show about nothing. And so they were parroting themselves. But for you as an artist, how is that valuable? What that means is something crazy doesn't have to happen every single day of your life for you to tell an engaging story. So, no matter what you're doing, I guarantee that there's a way to make it interesting. I've been put on a couple of live events for private clients, and I've been asking them, okay, where'd you get your shoes? Tell me the story about where you got your shoes. And then it's usually followed by something like this. I went to the mall and I saw them on the rack, and I just thought they were really cool looking. I liked the red and stuff, and so I bought them. And I'm like, okay, let's try this again. I'm going to tell the story as if I'm you. And they're like, okay. And it'll sound something like this. Like, okay, so I was sitting around, and, who has ever been to the mall before? Dude, I used to love going to the mall as a kid. You remember all the freaking, I used to get the pretzels and the cookies and stuff. Well, one day, I'm going around, I'm having a great mall experience, I'm just living life. And we walk by this Foot Locker, and I look in the window, and it's like, lights shining around these shoes. And I'm like, dude, I think I need to go get those shoes. And so I go in, and I look at them, and at first I'm like, oh, crap. I don't know if they have my size. I have a personal foot size of size 13 to 14, depending on the manufacturer. So I'm like, oh God, I really want this shoe, but I don't know if it comes in this size. So I run up to the desk, and I'm like, hey, I don't want anybody else to buy these shoes. Do you have any of these in a 13 or a 14? And they're like, dude, we have one pair of 13s left. But I'm like, okay, but sometimes I wear a 14 depending on the manufacturer. So I walk over there, borderline sweating. I sit down and I get the foot, jam thing, and I get my foot in there, and it's perfect. It fits perfectly, and it looks just as I imagined it when I walked by and I saw it in the glass case. And I was just like, dude, I've got to buy these right now. Do you see how much more compelling of a story? I mean, I know it's a story about nothing. I know it's really a story about some shoes, but do you see the difference in the quality of the story of, yeah, I went and bought them and they look cool and it was nice, versus that story I just told you? I was going through the emotions that I was feeling. I was trying to paint a picture of where I was, what I might have been smelling, what I might have been hearing, what I might be tasting. I was talking about, we'd go get cookies and we'd go get the Sbarro's pizza or whatever. You paint an image in someone's head that gives them, because human beings have this beautiful thing called empathy. So what's cool is if I start to talk about how I'm so excited about these shoes and I was just like so pumped up, you can kind of start to feel the excitement that I'm feeling if I'm being persuasive in my storytelling. So that's really one of the things about selling that you may have heard, which is selling is a transference of emotion. And you can use stories to transfer emotions to your fans as you're selling or as you're just communicating something cool that went down. So in the Seinfeld sequence, we're not selling anything. We're just telling stories. So I guarantee something has happened through your week that has been interesting enough that you could tell a story around it, much like I just told a story around someone getting shoes. So think about those things. Think about those different ways that you can tell a story that will not, it's just an everyday thing. I went and I ate at this restaurant. What did you see there? Did you see something that was interesting? Did you encounter something that was interesting? And from that, can you draw a moral from the story? You have to think about these things a little bit differently. And this allows you to communicate with your audience in a friendly way without them always feeling that you're selling to them. Because if you're just selling to them all the time, people are going to start unsubscribing in mass waves. But if you just sell like the beginning, let's just put it like in a weekly sequence. Let's say you sold Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In this case, it's a free offer, so it didn't really sell anything, right? But then like Monday and Wednesday, you just tell some stories. And then Friday, you start selling the new offer, and then by the Sunday, it's done. And then Monday, Wednesday, you tell 2 more stories, and then you just keep this process going on and on. So you space out the selling sequences with story sequences. But we still use stories, whether we're selling or we're not, okay? So that's the Seinfeld stories. And lastly, release-related stories. This is actually probably the easiest story for you to come up with. Think about how you wrote it, how you recorded it, what that was like, what it was like when you performed it, what was it like when you came up with the lyrics, the music, all that different kind of stuff. Those are probably the stories you can pull to mind the easiest. But those can be just as compelling, especially if we're going to tell a story around a particular release so that we're going to sell an offer for that release at the end of the email sequence. Now we can really dig into this song and break it down to why people are going to love this song. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a friend of my mother's recently, and she was like, oh my gosh, have you heard that new Gwen Stefani, Blake Shelton song called Purple Irises? And I was like, no, because I don't particularly listen to that type of music. Country's not my biggest genre. And she's like, oh my gosh. Now, at first, I'm going to tell you something, Dax. At first, I didn't really like it. I kind of heard it and thought it was just meh. But then I watched this documentary on E! Entertainment or something, where Gwen was talking about how they came up with the song. And they were talking about how she was out there with her kids and stuff, and they were driving around on 4-wheelers, and she just found these purple irises. And so she dug them up out of the ground, and she put them in the back of the car and rushed them back to the house. She didn't know if they were actually going to survive or not, because she's like, I just dug them out of the ground raw, but let's get them back to the house. So she gets them back to the house, and she plants them, and then what happens? It actually starts blooming, right? But she knew that she wanted Blake to be a part of it, because she was writing the song as like a love song and using the purple irises as a metaphor for how their love was growing. And she goes into this story like I've been telling to you. And then by the end of it, she said, and after I heard all this, I just fell in love with the song, and now I absolutely love it. And that's how she talks. And so I was like, wow, you're literally telling me that you went from someone who thought the song was, it's okay, it's like medium, it's okay, to I love this song. For what reason? You were told a compelling story around the song. So a release-related story can be extremely powerful. It took my mom's friend from being like yeah, that song's okay, to hearing the story about it going, oh my gosh, this song just hits different now. And that is the power of storytelling, is it creates a pre-frame for your audience. Great marketers online are using storytelling as pre-framing for their music, because sometimes maybe the music, if you just dropped it off, isn't eye-grabbing enough. Maybe you're in a genre that's not as in your face. Maybe you're in a little bit more tame of a genre, or a song even. In this example, the story can get the punch. The story can provide the impact. And then once people are at that state where they understand what the song is about, then you can drop the music. And from that point, it has a lot more impact because the story has pre-framed their experience to the music, as opposed to they hear the music, and if they don't hear something within 5 seconds that grabs their ear initially, they're out. Even though if they just waited a minute, they probably would enjoy the song. But telling a story around it gets people interested enough to want to listen to the song and give it more of a chance. We live in a world where it's swipe, 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 swipe. And the same thing is with music. It's very easy to be swiped as a musician, but if you have a story around it, it gives people a way to give your music a chance. And so that's why stories are probably one of the most powerful tools in your toolbox as a musician. Okay, now let's look at this entire process now. We've got the tech. We've got the assets so that we can create offers. We've got the offers themselves so that we can actually monetize. And then we've got stories to help increase the conversion rate and actually make it to where people want to buy the offers. Because if we just do blanket special merch bundle, check out this cool new merch offer, like those are our subject lines to emails and stuff, they hear that stuff every single day from every Tom, Dick, and Harry company that has ever got their email ever. But if you can create curiosity, interest, and be different, you can get people intrigued in your offers, utilizing good storytelling and good persuasive and what's called copywriting. So let's break down this process now. Since you have all these things, what your goal is to go to your social media or your gigs and drive as many people as you possibly can into your email list. Now, by the way, this whole framework can apply for a text list. It just has to be a lot more conservative, because if you're emailing people every day, that's one thing, but if you're texting them every day, they gonna get annoyed. So don't do that. But this can be replicated with text lists. Just know that. It's just a lot more, like I said, conservative in that sense. So you're just trying to utilize these avenues, social media and your live performances, to get people into your email list. This automates them to the beginning of the sequence, and now they're on this process. And maybe this process, maybe it takes, I don't know, maybe this takes 1 month. Maybe it takes 2 months. Maybe it takes 3 months. I have a ... here because there is really no rule to how long you want to make this. I know certain industries where they'll make email sequences that are almost a year long. Now, I'm not saying you need to do that, but what I'm saying is this can vary. You can make this 4 offers long. You can make it 2 offers long. You can make it 7 offers long or 17 offers long. I think over time, this should grow. That's my personal opinion to maximize profit. Is I feel like, remember earlier when I talked about there's kind of like 2 different ways of looking at the value ladder? I only went through one, which is Russell Brunson's interpretation of the value ladder, which is increasing price and increasing value. So as the price goes up, what they get in value goes up as well, which is true. We do utilize that in certain micro instances, but I'm using more of the Frank Kern super funnel model when I'm talking about the Evergreen Fan Generator. Now, what is that? That is fundamentally where we test this. So we create a few offers. We run this for a certain period of time. So fans are coming in and they're going through. They're coming in, going through, coming in, going through. after a while, we're going to get some data on how things are performing. And what if we found out that this email right here, this third series of email, was underperforming? Well, now we can go back in there, we can kind of polish it up, make sure it's all good, and then boom, the numbers go back up as more people run through it. Oh, this is converting better. We've clearly fixed that patch in the funnel. Now you've got something that is just automated and running, and it's rocking and rolling. Let's say you have a new offer that comes out. You want to tack that on to the end of this so that existing people that were in this now are going into this next funnel, and that new people that come into your business will fundamentally go through the normal sequence and then that as well. So it's just tacked on to their experience. And if you've tested this and you know that it performs a certain way, you can have a reasonable predictability as to, for every 100 fans I get in the email list, I'm going to make X hundreds or thousands of dollars. So that is the Evergreen Fan Generator method fundamentally, because once they get to the end of this, once they get to the end of the sequence, you may be asking, what happens now? I would just follow up with them with Seinfeld emails, tell them some stories, maybe once a week, once a month, depending on what's comfortable for you. I recommend like maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, something like that. Tell them stories, alert them when you have new shows that are coming out, alert them when you got new releases. Let's say you've got a fan club that's opening up. You want to alert them when you got things going on. And then when you're like, okay, it's time to create a new offer, you go through the same process that you went through here, but just now you create a new offer for them using this different kind of method where we're stacking offers fundamentally forever until and ever and ever and ever. Because just imagine you start this now and you have a really modest fan base and you can get these numbers up at a modest fan base. Imagine what happens when you grow. These numbers start to scale. So if you can, let's do a rough math prediction, okay? So I'm actually going to use someone who I was actually on call with the other day, okay? Now I know their experience is not the same as everybody else, and it's kind of an extreme case, but I wanted to demonstrate how powerful this can be. So let's say you're in the predicament of you have 1 million TikTok followers. This was the predicament this client was in. So he had 1 million TikTok followers, which that's an accomplishment. To get 1 million followers on a platform is very cool. But he didn't get these 1 million followers for his music. He got this for content creation that was unrelated to his music. I was like, there's the kicker. There's the little fine print. And so we started going through that, and I said, well, think about this for a second. Let's say he only gets 1% of these people to actually become fans. So let's do a little math here. So we have 1 million people times 1%. That's 10,000 people. So you have 10,000 people. Keep in mind that was 1%. That's 1% of his following joins his email list. So now he's got 10,000. Let's assume he has an open rate of 10%. So you have 10,000 times 10% or 0.1. That gives us 1,000 people. So now 1,000 people have opened the email, but not everyone that opens is going to buy it. So let's assume a conversion rate of like 2.5%. So you have 1,000 times 2.5%. That's 25 people who purchase. But what if the offer is $20? Well, if that's a $20 offer, that's $500 right there. So getting the email list set up for this particular client, okay, even if I had 1 million people and I had really not so great numbers, getting them into the list, and I had just some typical numbers when I actually did send them stuff, what would that look like? Well, for one offer, you could generate potentially $500. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. $500 from 25 people, right? This is something that people don't take into consideration is you got $500 from 25 people. That's $20 a person, right? Because, we spent $20 on the offer. So right in that example, we see how they could generate $500 from one offer. One offer, y'all. So now imagine they make multiple offers. From every offer they make from that point onward, you could assume that for every 1,000 people that I have in my list, and I put out a $20 offer, I will make $500. So you can kind of say, assuming you're doing one $20 offer per month, you should be able to make $500 a month per 1,000 people. So for every 1,000 people in my list, I should be able to generate $500 a month from one offer. That's pretty good. Imagine you made 2 offers. Imagine you had more than 1,000 people. So let's keep these numbers the same. So that was for every 1,000 people, you could expect to make $500 a month. Well, what if you had 2,000 people? You would generate $1,000 a month. What if you had 4,000 people a month? You generate $2,000. You see how this number can start to scale for you as you start getting more people into your list. And you have a set of numbers that you could say, oh, because of how this offer tested, I can reasonably assume that for every 1,000 people that I send an email to, I should expect $500 back on a $20 offer. Now, if the offer is a different price, you can expect a different number back. If it's higher, you can expect more. If it's cheaper, you can expect less. But this gives you some math that you can utilize now to determine what you need as a musician. So you may think like, okay, well, I would love to have $500 a month so I could afford all my music-related expenses. Okay, well, you got to get 1,000 people into your list, and you got to or not just you got to get 1,000 people to open your emails. And then from the 1,000 people to open your emails, you can guarantee that you can see a certain amount of success with that. You can get $500 a month from that. So that's just a basic example, right? Do your own math to determine, okay, how is this performing? How much do I need it to perform? So do I need to increase the price point? Do I need to tweak this particular offer because it's not performing very well? You start to call audibles. You start to refine this. You go through and you chisel it out and you make it perfect. It's a perfect sculpture of an automated super funnel. And then from that point, you do this. I'm not going to use this, but what you do is you take the button and you swipe it to where it's on. That was my imitation of that. It looks just kind of like an eyeball. But you swipe it on and you let it run. And then the work that you put in from this point on, that you've got this automated, it's on, it's working. Now the work just goes up to here. The work just goes up to your gigs and social media. How can I drive more people in so I can run them through this automated process? And these are all the things I need in order to execute this process to the fullest of its ability. That was a lot of stuff. I know we just basically spent the last hour together breaking down this process. But if you stuck it out this far, kudos to you, because you're clearly a musician that takes their music business seriously, and I applaud you for that. Now, implementing this is easier said than done. I've just spent the past hour breaking down all the things you need, but sometimes creating offers is not that easy. Sometimes creating offers that are good is not that easy. It's easy to create an offer, but it's really hard to create an offer that converts. It's really easy to tell a story, but it's harder to tell a story that's effective and persuasive and uses useful metaphors and things like that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this breakdown of the Evergreen Fan Generator method. If you'd like some one-on-one help implementing this in your music business, we're actually doing a cool little run. We're taking in limited clients to start implementing this inside their music business with them. So I'll be in there helping you write email sequences, helping you create offers, doing all that kind of stuff with you hands-on so that you can actually get that help immediately, as opposed to like being given a course and expected to do everything yourself. You know, I know how things are as an independent artist. So if you're interested in that, click the link in the description or go to musiciansignite.com/booking, and that will take you to a place where you can fill out an application. You pick a time and a day that works for you. You fill out an application, and then we'll have a one-on-one call to see if it's a good fit that we work together. And from that point, we can start rocking and rolling. So if you're interested in that,
click the link that's in the description or go to www.musiciansignite.com/booking and check that out. And I look forward to working one-on-one with you guys out there. And if we don't work together, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed it and you learned something. And I will see you guys on the next video on Musicians Ignite.